Record to the cloud. Okay, good evening, everybody. I'm so glad you guys are with us tonight. Okay, so we've got a lot to talk about, but our very special guest tonight, she's got a lot going on, so we are going to get right to her story because I want to value her time with us. So tonight we have Kim Koebensky, and I have been following her on social media, her amazing growth and just the way that she's been touching other people's lives. She's gone through the ranks very, very quickly. And I just felt like she could bring so much value to you guys instead of you always hearing from me. So I'm going to give you Kim's story, her bio, and then we're going to hear her story. She is a mom of two boys. Charlie is 13 and Keegan is 6. She's married to Brody, and they work the business together, and they've been in LifeVantage for just 2 years. They have moved quickly through the ranks, sharing their story and inspiring others to believe in themselves. Kim comes from a background of staffing and recruiting, where she was a top recruiter in the nation for her company on multiple occasions. Her husband, Brody, is a general manager managing a multi-million-dollar branch for his company, and he's been there 20 years. You guys don't look old enough to have been in business for 20 years. They hit the rank of Elite 7 in 20 months, and then doubled their business less than 4 months later, hitting Elite Pro 8. So on May 15th, they earned their My Life venture in just 5.5 months after hitting Pro 7. And she said it was hard. They are building 4 business centers in LifeVantage, and her husband's leg hit Pro 7 in April. So they now have 2 elite positions in their household. That's awesome. So she says, we started this as something that changed my life and her health in 5 days after being sick for 7 years to something that is literally changing our entire future. She says, we are in the talks to retire Brody, who just turned 41 at the end of July. This has become one of the biggest blessings, and thank God many times that every single day for this completely changing our future. It is a dream come true. So Kim, you talked about being sick for 7 years and our products changing your life in 5 days. I would love to hear more about that, what this did for you.
My story, it's long. I won't get into the specifics of my health journey, or we'd be here for 7 years. But what I do know is that it was a long battle. Nothing that I was doing, I was getting answers from. I had been through, I don't know how many countless conventional doctors, and just was never getting any answers. It was literally a dead end all the time. And it wasn't until 2 years ago, well, it was over 2 years ago now, but about 2.5 years ago, I was really sick. I was just at my end. And I had actually, I was seeking help from a more natural doctor. Just about 6 years ago, or a little over, I almost died of a pulmonary embolism. And so that kind of opened my eyes. I have a very severe genetic mutation. And my doctor was aware of the situation. I had multiple miscarriages, and they were all due to blood clotting. And so there was a situation there, and I had poked and prodded and asked so many questions, and nothing, you're fine. It was blown off. And then that's where I ended up. I had my son Keegan, and 4 days later, 3 days later, I had a pulmonary embolism. And the next thing I know, the next day they were sending me home, pumped full of blood thinners. And so that's really, I had already started my journey at that point, or that's really when it started. And I really started with exercise and diet right away. But I really started to dig deeper into my genetic situation that I had going on. And, I'm a huge believer that you have to self-advocate for your health, because nobody else is going to do it for you. And I started to take my health into my own hands. I never went back to that doctor again. She knows how I feel. And it's unfortunate that, she ignored my situation. But it also made me a stronger person, and I wouldn't be in this company today if, if it weren't for me being so sick. So I still wasn't getting better after that. I mean, it was a long several years. And my health issues started a month before Brody and I actually got married. So it's been this black cloud that's hung over our marriage up until 2 years ago. We celebrate our 9-year wedding anniversary on the 27th of this month. And it's been 2 solid years since we've been in this company that I have my life back. But I was going to a natural doctor. He wasn't a naturopath or an ND. He was like a chiropractor who did, wellness and muscle testing. And I was swallowing 60 pills a day when I joined LifeVantage, natural supplements, and I never got any better. In fact, it cost us almost $6,000 in just over 2 months. And so it was draining. It was draining physically, mentally, financially, emotionally. And, it was tough because, for lack of better words, I still need to figure out the right way to say this, but he screwed me over big time, in a sense where I went there one day and he tested a product on me that was a competing product of something he had on his shelf. And he didn't realize it at first. And so when I said, I was excited, it was my protein powder. And I just so you guys know, I eat very clean, we're organic, all that good stuff. Everything all the personal care products in our home are organic. Our cleaning products are organic. Everything that we do, we've read chemicals as much as possible in our house. And that's something that I take very seriously and have been doing for years. And so I was excited when he said my protein powder tested beautiful on me. And I brought it up and he said, no, that's your almond flour. And I said, no, that's my protein powder. Like, you can taste it. And he literally tried to argue with me. And he said, well, let me retest it. And I thought to myself, why on earth would he need to retest it? This is where I get frustrated, because he's kind of, he was very subjective. And I'm already coming from a background of distrust with doctors. And so then this happens when I'm exploring a new route. He told me that the protein powder tested like garbage on me. And I literally, you could, in that moment, I can't even describe to you, but I had tears in my eyes, and I can't even describe that moment. I kept thinking to myself, okay, wow, he's crooked. I mean, he just totally is, just wants me to buy his product. He's using me. Are my diagnoses that he gave me with Lyme disease. I mean, I could go on. Is that true? Is any of this true? I just wasted thousands and thousands of dollars. I need to go home and tell my husband now. I mean, there was so much going through my head. I literally cannot even describe it. So I drove home that day, which is an hour and a half to my son, to his daycare. I picked him up, brought him home, put him on the couch, went in my room, got on my knees, and I cried and I prayed. I needed something seriously my back was up against the wall. No conventional doctor had any answers. Now this route, and we live in a small town in northern Minnesota. It's not like we have a wealth of doctors up there that, we have got these functional doctors at our fingertips. It doesn't work that way where we live. We're in a small community, and I was desperate. And so after I, stopped feeling sorry for myself, I got up, I went out to the kitchen, and that's when I picked up my phone, and I had a text message on it, and it said, "Hey, Chicky, I know that you're done traveling. Let me know when you're ready to hear about Protandim." And I can't, you guys don't know me that well, but I'm busy all the time. I don't stop all the time to stop in the moment, if that makes sense. Because I'm always doing something. And that day, I just knew after praying and then crying. And then I go to my kitchen and there's a message on my, I mean, it was just like, it was something I couldn't ignore. And so I said, hey, can you chat with me right now? And she said, sure. So 3.5 hours later, I think my son watched the same movie 3 times that day. I felt so bad. I felt like the worst mom, but I was so intrigued by the information. And so my husband came home and I shared the information with him, and he said, well, let's take a look at it. And so we did. And I want to say that was in April. And we joined May 3rd. So it, you know, I hemmed and hawed, and then he told me, he's like, you've got to try this. Like, and he said, let's join, let's do this together. And he said that he looked at the comp plan. He looked at the business side. My husband is a brilliant businessman. And he's the brains behind bringing him into our business almost immediately. I mean, literally, I hit the ranks pretty fast. I went Pro 3 in 10 days, Pro 4 in a month, Pro 5 the next month. So it was about less than 2 months that I was a Pro 5. And Anaheim was our first experience with Elite Academy, and that was 2 years ago. It'll be 2 years in July, and it literally changed our lives forever. But backing up to that doctor, it really has taught me a lot to kind of, I've always lived with my eyes and my heart and my mind open. And it just really made me think about it, and it's so crazy because he said to me, he's like, if you're going to go buy your product somewhere else, I'm not going to treat you. Never saw his face again. And so we paid off my medical debt thanks to LifeVantage back in December. But we've spent tens of thousands of dollars on my health. And it's, as much as my husband has a phenomenal job, and we're blessed because he's got a big city job in a really small town, it still pinched us. And there were times where it was so stressful financially. And there were times where I was just like, you know what, I'm not even going to go in at this point. I never even said anything that anything was bothering me because I knew nobody would have an answer. And all it was going to do is just cost us more money. I mean, so it's crazy to me that I felt so desperate. And then we decided to join. Brody said to me, he goes, we're doing the platinum pack. I said, we can't afford that. He goes, we can't afford not to. And then he said, and we're going to Anaheim. And I said, oh my gosh, like, okay. And he goes, I'll trust that you'll get a return of investment back pretty quickly. And so I did. I mean, for years, people have followed me. I have a lot of people that know that I take research to a whole new level. And so, I know the best products on the market to use that are organic. And, people are like, what dish soap do you, I mean, everybody's always constantly reaching out to me. And, but he said to me, he said, we're going to do this together. He's like, I've never been involved in anything that you've ever done. And, this is one thing that I want to be a part of. And so we literally, I mean, we've been doing it together ever since. I mean, for the most part, I've been the main builder in this. Like, I brought in all the customers and distributors, but he built our PowerPoint. I mean, he does comp training, and he does a lot of the things that I don't want to do. You give me the people and I'll get them in the business, but other than that, but he's very financially or like numbers driven. And so when we hit Pro 7, he's like, okay, let's look at the qualifications for Life Venture, and they are not easy. There's only 3 ways. People think that when you automatically hit Pro 8, you are in the Life Venture, the Jeep, and you don't. There's only 3 ways to earn it, and it's going from Pro 6 to 7 in 6 months. it's being paid as a Pro 7 for an entire year, or you have 6 months to, once you hit Pro 7, to do 250,000 in volume cumulative. And that's how we hit it in 5.5 months. And we literally had a whiteboard in our bedroom hanging up, and we were just like, we have our goals down. We still have our goals. It's actually still in here. Now we're at our cabin, and he hauled it across. We're on an island. So everything we do, we have to come over. It has to come over by boat, but our big whiteboard is here, up in our bedroom. And, you know, we just haven't lost sight of where we want to go with this. And we do have big news coming. I mean, my husband's leg hit Pro 7. So now we've fully absorbed his income. So we're figuring that piece out too. And, it's been, I mean, honestly, I got on these products, and in 5 days they changed my life. Like I was completely pain and symptom free. Like I can't even describe it. And it's been 2 years. And in the beginning I would cry all the time, and he would just roll his eyes at me. What the heck? He's like, you cry when you're healthy, you cry when you're sick. I don't know what to do with you. And I just knew that I was afraid that it was, you know, too good to be true. And so I didn't say anything right away when I first started the products. You know, I mean, literally, like I had people, you know, asking me what's going on and whatnot. And so obviously I'd enrolled people, but I didn't even start doing anything until it was like May 17th or May 20th or something. Because I just wanted to be sure. And at that point, I knew that it was a moral obligation, that this was a huge gift that I was not going to keep to myself. And I told him, I said, if this works for me, I'm taking it to the moon. And that's where we're headed. So, I mean, yeah.
So you said that you're in a small town, and I'm assuming small, low population, like you getting to 7 so fast and then to 8 so fast. I mean, I know this, you get this all the time. Like, how did you do it? Did you just pick up the phone and talk to people? Did people come to you? Did you use social media? Like, how did you get word out there as quickly as you did to gain the volume you did so quickly?
I use social media, you know, more attraction. I don't spam, and I'm not a big believer in posting our product name and company name. I'm not so hung up on the company name now, you know, but I don't, like, I'm just a very positive person. And so, but I also, like, you know, I'll put up different posts, like, you know, I mean, the other night we did a distributor meeting, and it was actually the night of all the local high schools had their graduations. And so a huge portion of our team couldn't even show up. And we had over 60 distributors show up for the training that Brody and I were doing. And when I walked in the room, this stuff still shocks me. I mean, I don't look at all these things every day. I don't know how much I'm going to get paid on a Friday. I don't pay attention to that. I'm just head down working and sharing the information and teaching people how to do this. I mean, the biggest thing is to tell people what you're involved with, share the information, because if you're not going to talk to people, you won't build a business. That period is important, but we use it all. Like I've done one-on-ones. I do, one thing that has been hugely successful is that, you know, we're probably in 45 different states. We're in Germany, we're in Canada, we're in Australia, we're in the UK. And so we're everywhere now, but, you know, locally we have an incredible team growing, and every single month I've done a meeting, and I will invite our local distributors to invite their network of people. So we've just built this huge community around our team. It's very positive. People stand up, they share their story. You know, we go through our PowerPoint, and so many people want this and need this. And so that has been huge in growing our business, especially here locally. We've never had anybody come to Minnesota to help us. Never.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, we didn't have any help. I didn't even know Chris Michael and Bailey, his wife, and Tyler and Tasha, I mean, they're all some of our closest friends now. We didn't even know them until a year ago. It was global, the first global that we were at. But one of my biggest pieces of advice to people is, I could have sat around and complained because there was nobody to help me, but that's not how this business is. If you want it, you need to find it. If you don't have a system, you've got to build it. If you don't have, a leader, you've got to be it. And you've got to fill all those shoes that, you might be waiting for somebody to fill. You're going to be waiting a long time. And you know what? We needed this. I needed this. And we just went after it. And it's, honestly, if you're sharing from your heart and doing it for the right reasons, you'll build a business. People do business with who they know, like, and trust. And, we genuinely care about every single person on our team. Now it's getting pretty big that, and we've created duplication in a sense where I don't have my hands in every single person that's joining. I mean, I don't know how many distributors have already joined this month, and I don't know a single one of them. And that is huge for us because I used to do every single call to bring every single person in, and I had my finger on everything. And now I'm sitting back and smiling because I don't need to know all that. Like, we're creating leaders. Like, I don't know how many Pro 5s we have at this point. We have a lot. We have 6 that qualified for Summit, and then 2 that just hit Pro 5 last month, and they missed the cutoff. And it's insane to see that, we're just trying to inspire people to live bigger, to think bigger, and to not get so caught up in what other people think about you if you're sharing this information. I'll be very honest in the sense that, one of my closest friends told me I build a pyramid scheme for a living. And it's crazy because I put her on the spot. She knows nothing about network marketing. So it's the classic pyramid scheme comment, knowing nothing about even what a pyramid scheme is. But the sad part in my heart was the fact that her husband is the breadwinner in their family, and he was told that he's losing his job, and he's in, computer science, and it's difficult. Like, he's got coworkers that have been let go before him 2 years ago that still haven't found work. And they're looking at us sideways when I point blank told them in the very, very, very near future, we'll be retiring my husband. And, but everybody's different. So, not everybody's going to want to do this. And, it's good to respect that. But I can say that a lot of people that said no in the beginning are now saying yes, because I've kept it positive and we keep it fun. And, we've learned how to build this. I mean, we've got a Pro 8, a 7, a 6, and a 5 in our family right now. My business center is a Pro 6. It almost hit Pro 7 last month. And Brody's business center is a Pro 5. We didn't even activate that until about 6 months ago. And it's already it almost hit Pro 6, to be honest. And so we just have learned. We've learned the compensation plan. We've learned how to do this. My husband is brilliant. I'm not a big, huge numbers person. So our compensation plan to me was foreign for the first, I would say, 3 to 4 months until we started really getting and working into it. And, I remember July, Anaheim, where they announced the holding tank. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to make our life easier. And I went home from Anaheim just fired up. Like, everybody's going to know about this. And I signed up 16 platinum packs. And that's when we brought Brody into the business, and boom, we shifted volume, and he hit Pro 4 immediately. And we both had business centers right away. And so it just really, we've been very, mindful of how our business is growing, and really working with our team to be able to understand it. I don't recommend everybody do what we do. You want to, because it adds an additional expense, but it definitely, it's been a huge blessing for us. to
It
see this.
sounds like you guys saw the potential very quickly and you didn't give yourself time to overthink it. And you just
Right.
went and started sharing and you taught the system. You taught people how to teach people and you leveraged that from the beginning. One last thing I want to ask you before we get you off is what does it sound like when you share this with someone? Because to say, I'm going to go home and you signed up 16 platinum packs, like what are you saying to people?
Well, I'm about to sign up a guy who owns a mortgage company, and I just signed up another person who owns a mortgage company, and I just reached out to them. I know that they needed the product, but I just said, I see that you're working crazy hours. He's commented on a few of my posts and stuff, and I said, I have no idea if this might be anything that you're interested in. And this is how I go about it with people, because I personally don't care what they decide, but I am going to offer it to them, and I just told them, I said, look, I have no idea if this is something that you're interested in, but, we're building a massive residual income stream and a legacy business for our children. And I just wanted to reach out to you and let you know that not only are our products, they speak for themselves and, are deeply rooted in science kind of thing, but this opportunity right now is crazy amazing. And I would love to share more with you if it's something that you think you might be interested in, and that started the ball rolling. And so with the one, I started the conversation more with his wife, and they saw a difference in their daughter. And then he was told he needed statins. And so he reached out to me instead of filling his prescription. And then boom, 2 days later, I'm driving, 3 hours to have a meeting with him, and I've let them know, like, there's nobody in their areas in our state building, and it's kind of, positioning, timing, it all matters to a certain extent. Anybody can build a business with this, but, that's really, I just keep it simple with people. I don't go into the science. I don't go into the product stuff. Honestly, I don't use the ABC video. I haven't in a really long time. People find it and they see it, and that's fine, but I don't personally start with a video. I start with being a real person and building on that relationship. And so, but I will say this, I'm also very active on Facebook, because if you think that you're going to reach out to somebody that you haven't talked to in 3 years and you reach out and say, hey, I don't know if you're interested in this, but I just started a new business. They're not really gonna, it really doesn't work that well. And I come from a background of professional staffing and recruiting. So I've been in the staffing and recruiting position. I've been in the sales position. I've been in all of them. And it's a relationship business. And so if you want to build on social media, you need to be commenting, spending an allotted amount of time on Facebook every day, building those relationships and commenting on people, even if you just drop a heart, or, if it's a picture of their kid. I personally love to do, that's just who I am. So I think that just in general makes me successful, because I love people and I love to see them, their family pictures and all the things that are happening, or if there's a loss, type of thing, I let them know that we're sending condolences kind of thing. But so that's where you start it. And then you can start conversations in Facebook Messenger, and you just want to open it up somehow. So I do suggest to people, like, if you want to grow on social media, you need to be more present and more intentional with how you do that. We have our team groups. That's the only way I communicate. We've got our big customer group, prospect group that has over 6,000 people in it. And so when we have a special like today, I haven't dropped the promo in there yet. We typically see our volume jump multiple thousands of dollars, because people, anytime there's anything free going on, we educate people as to why those products make them excited about it. kind of drop that promo once a day until it's done kind of thing. And we're in front of 6,000 people. So everybody in our team can add into that. It's a huge group that I run. I'm very diligent with it. And so, we do that. And we also do a lot of Zooms. And so we encourage our people to hit the ground running and get started right away, so that we can put this information in front of them. I mean, everybody's different. I tailor the way I approach people to who I'm with. We just, like 2 months ago, we signed a radiologist in Oklahoma, and he just last week signed a radiologist and a vascular surgeon who are completely blown away. And so like next week, I'm actually going to Oklahoma for most of the week to go help my girlfriend build. She's a nurse practitioner in oncology that signed up that group. And, it just starts there. So that was more science-y. They wanted proof that, so everybody's different, but be yourself. If you're going to try to use words that are not yours or copy people's wording or the canned responses, people they're going to read through the lines. They're going to know. So I'm just a big contender of, if you're excited about it, share it. There's no right or wrong way, and just stay emotionally unattached to people's decisions, because it's usually not about you, it's about them. And that decision can always change. So
I love it. I just love how authentically you are, because you can tell you're unapologetic about it. Like, this is the way it is. This is the real deal. Like, you're not questioning your belief. Your belief is 110%, and you have this sense of urgency. And I can feel that urgency, it has nothing to do with you, but everything to do with everyone around you. Like, they just need to know about this as soon as possible. I just think that's amazing.
Thank you. I mean, I think that if you keep the information to yourself, then people should be a customer. We're distributors for a reason. It's our job to share the information, and we shouldn't be ashamed of it. And we shouldn't be hung up on what other people think, because if it, when it comes down to it, like every single day, I remind myself why I joined and why I continue to do this. It has not been easy. We've had many ups and downs. We've had, really, it's not easy. I mean, you're dealing with multiple different personalities and all sorts of different things. However, I wouldn't change this for the world. And, I mean, we just keep going. And I was told when I joined, run like your hair's on fire. And so I'm still running. People deserve to hear this information. They really do.
Yeah, I want you guys to know too, when I first asked Kim this, she said to me, she's like, my team is always having meetings. So she said, I'll commit, but if my team has a meeting that comes up that night, they will come first. Like, that is the passion and the urgency she has for her team and for those people out there that need this message. You're such an amazing example, Kim. You really, really are. Thank you for your time. I know it's been a hectic day for you. You're at your lake house. You have your nephew there. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely.